Hey everybody, Jan Davis Uttar here, AFC Northerners, and we are playing the Falcons. It is officially week 13, and there's a lot to discuss on this. A lot of people have covered a lot of statistics, so I'm not going to dive into that. Let's get into the nitty-gritty with this game. So first off, let's think about what's going on here before we even start talking about offense, defense, any of that noise, right? All right, so looking at my notes, Atlanta's lost the last 3 games, including to the Browns, who wound up, just kind of like really surprising everybody against that game against the Falcons. They haven't beat any AFC North teams this season whatsoever. So if we're the first, it's not a good look for us, guys. It's not a good look for us. Now, in practice this week, Russell Gage, who is one of their rookie defensive backs, and he is also I think one of their receivers. He was basically acting as Lamar Jackson would be. He had been a quarterback in high school as well, and had run like read options in college and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to see if any of that actually helped whenever we play the game on Sunday. So we've also got Lamar Jackson. It's his third game. It's his first road game. Against the Oakland, he had 2 interceptions. He's had 3 altogether already. Compare that to Matt Ryan, who the entire season has only had 5. Lamar Jackson's had 3 in the last 3 games. So I know that it's not a big, huge thing. It's rookie stuff, but that could really be a huge turning event if that happens in this game. Let me continue on. All right, so Flacco's still limited. Is probably maybe a game time decision, but I'm really thinking that we're sticking with Lamar, so I don't think that's even anything to really go on to. A lot of people talked about like the statistics of this game. Atlanta has only scored 152 points in the last 3 games, and conversely, they've allowed 81 points in those 3 games. So their ratio is definitely showing why they're off in that slump there. Now the Falcons turnovers, again, like Matt Ryan's had 5. I'm still mad that he's not a Raven. He could have been ours, but no. Whatever. Anyway, Falcons have 21 total sacks. Ravens have 32 total sacks. So that's some of the statistics, but I really want to get into some of the more interesting stuff here because I think that this is a trap game. I do. I'm calling it right now. I think it's a trap game. I think that their record is because of some really interesting factors that have changed specifically this week. So let's get into some of the things to understand about this game. First of all, Falcons pass way more than we do. Matt Ryan is a solid QB, and honestly, they just look pretty good in the passing game. In their passing game, they're 4th in the league with 316 points. And their yardage itself is 6th with 400. So if you think about that from perspective that Ravens for themselves, our passing game, we're 14th with 252 yards, and we are 11th in yardage total with 374 yards. All right, and that's not including like all of the stuff that goes around that, but just those statistics in itself really show that this is a pass-happy team, and our secondary of late has been a little suspect. So I've got some concerns here, and this is why I'm calling it a trap game. So let's think about, first of all, set the stage. Who's in, who's out? Well, for the Ravens, we got a few that are not great feeling. Out most definitely is Tony Jefferson. That typically wouldn't bother me so much because we have Levine. We've got Clark. I would rather give it to Levine than Clark personally, but Levine is also on the questionable list. Doubtful list for who's playing this game. So if both Jefferson is out and Levine is questionable, doesn't play, or Levine isn't really up to speed on the field, then we've got to deal with Clark. I hope he steps up because it's necessary. So now going into for the Ravens, who's doubtful for this game, Flacco and Hurst. Neither one of those are really huge. Hurst has been performing a little bit better here and there, but in total, I think we're maybe better off without him, especially with Zeus Jr. coming in to cover. I think we're good. So then you've got the questionable, right? So Alex Collins, questionable. Gus Edwards, questionable. Levine, questionable. Tim Williams, questionable. Tavon Young, questionable. Now, I expect Alex Collins to not really play. I do expect Gus Edwards. I think the Gus bus will be fine. He's going to play. Levine, I do expect him to play. If he doesn't, that's interesting. Tim Williams, I was really hoping he'd have a really good second year. He's been kind of hurt here and there, so we'll see. He may be a game time decision, but I don't know that I expect him to play. But Tavon Young, if we can get Tavon Young back on that field and he's at his good self, then I think that we are better off than we can realize. I think Tavon Young could really be a playmaker and a difference maker in this game. Now, here's the weird stuff, okay? Whenever you think about it, we are in the playoff hunt again because the Steelers lost to the Broncos. So, of course, I'm happy about that. But in general, that means that we are now back really in the hunt to secure a playoff spot and not just a wild card spot. I'm thinking that depending on this game, we'll figure out where we're going next as far as our record and what we're looking at. So some things off on injuries for Falcons, right? Injuries for Falcons. They don't have any. They have none. As a matter of fact, I think, I mean, you basically have Jones coming back, who's their star linebacker, who has been one of the reasons that he's been pretty much hurt most of the season. So with him out, their defense hasn't really come together, but their safeties are back on. They were out their safeties in the last few games, so their starting safeties I think are back. Deion Jones, he's back in. Their starting linebacker. So I don't think that this is the same defense that we've seen in the Falcons. And again, this is why it gives me a lot of pause. What does this mean for us? Well, it means that we may go in there with the idea that we can run the ball, for example. That may no longer be true, especially not with Jones back in there because he's a monster. So that could really change where we go. Now with their starting safeties back in too, we've got an issue there because Lamar Jackson is throwing interceptions, 3 in 3 games. And then not only on top of that, but we've got a mobile quarterback and we've got a linebacker that's looking to make a name for himself and have a big game coming back. So I am severely concerned about their defense. I'm severely concerned about our defense. Why? Because our defense may look like it's the best, but right now they have had moments where they have just not shown up, right? So if they're not showing up to play on this game, we will lose. This game, I'm not worried about the offense, really. I think that their offense I think that our offense is good enough to, keep their defense at bay. I don't know how big of a problem that, having everybody pretty much healthy and not banged up is going to make. But I think it's going to make some. I think it's going to make some. Regarding our defense, if it doesn't show up and Matt Ryan has a field day, because not only does Matt Ryan have Julio Jones, and everybody's complaining about Julio Jones on the Falcons not getting as many touches, but he's still an amazing player. Plus they have Mohamed Sanu, and he gave us a ton of problems with the Bengals. Don't forget that. And they got Ridley. Calvin Ridley, of course, he is listed as possibly limited in practice. He may have had an injury, I think maybe it was elbow or something like that. But honestly, I expect him to play. And if we try to put our safeties, I think our best plan of attack is to put our safeties on Sanu or on Ridley and then use all of our corners on Julio Jones, because if we don't, I almost know that we're going to basically get torched there. I'm really concerned about that offense against our secondary. Totally. So here's why I'm calling it a trap game. I think that all of these factors are things that a lot of Ravens fans may not be taking into account. Maybe you are. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you aren't, you might want to rethink this, because I really think that this is a game that we can lose. As a matter of fact, I think we will lose it. And I hate saying that, but I think that we have a young QB going into a defense that has looked bad through the entire season, but now they're way more healthy and they have a reason to prove themselves, especially after losing 3. So I would say that I think that this is going to be a game that goes back and forth a lot. My prediction is that we lose this game. 27-24 Falcons. I think that we don't know how Lamar plays on the road. I think that our secondary hasn't really, at times, given us what we really need to win. We've squeaked by. And if Lamar Jackson is out there running, every second or third play because we have nobody to get open to, we're going to wind up with him eventually getting hurt. or in general, just run out of gas. You can totally do that, run out of gas. It's not something that a lot of people talk about. So that's my predictions. That's my thoughts on this game. Please let me know what your thoughts are. I think that this is going to be an interesting game. The good news is that if we win this game, I do think that 10-6 is definitely a possibility. 11-5, I don't know. Chargers and the Chiefs are still coming up, especially the Chiefs. Chargers is the more important game, believe it or not. If we lose, I think that we have every chance of looking at ourselves as an 8-8 team, and we can pretty much kiss playoffs goodbye. But not quite there yet. It's something to keep in your head. Sorry if you're mad at me for making this prediction. I know. I really want to sit there and go, yeah, totally, it's a win. But I don't know that that's true, especially with as healthy as their defense looks right now and the returning players that they've got coming back and the inconsistency of our secondary. That's really the big question marks there. Anyway, guys, make sure you check out DGBG's. He's already done his Browns game. I think Mark Herman is hibernating in a hole right now after that loss. Hi, Mark. Love you. And I have Steelers guys are coming out with one hopefully soon. And it's hopefully going to be a good game. In the meantime, guys, I'm going to sign off. Make sure you check out the rest of us and comment. Let us know what you think. I'm going to say fuck the Falcons. Talk to you later, guys.